What brought me to volunteer at hospice was I actually saw an ad in the paper for Camp Good Grief, and I really like working with kids, and I thought that would be an excellent opportunity to give back to the community, but also work with kids that have lost a family member.
7 years ago, my wife became ill with breast cancer, and she eventually succumbed to it, and we ended up using hospice services in Charleston, and she actually spent the last 2 weeks of her life in the hospice house in Charleston. I was so impressed by really the kindness, the love, the care that she received from the hospice house, and also even from the visiting nurse that we had when she was still at home, that I basically vowed that I would, when I retired, I would volunteer to work for hospice to kind of repay what had been given so freely to us.
My twin sister passed away 13 years ago, and we had hospice in-home care for her, and I was very impressed with the love and care that hospice showed her, and I kind of wanted to do a payback for what they had done for my sister in honor of her memory.
I have family members that have been with hospice, and I saw what such a good job everyone did, and I wanted to be a part of that.
They were there for us with my mother and my mother-in-law, and made life so much easier getting through an end-of-life experience.
I started volunteering with hospice actually when I lived in Atlanta, and when I moved back home I decided that I wanted to continue to do it. I love it. I love giving back. And
I began with hospice when my sister-in-law became a hospice patient. Really had not even, I've heard of it, but not encountered with the organization.
Well, I heard about therapy dogs, that they visited people in hospitals and nursing homes and things like that. And so I went down to 6th Avenue and asked about it. They said, yeah, actually, we're just losing a therapy dog. We had a little Shih Tzu or something like that who's got arthritis now and won't be able to come much more. And we could use a dog there.
I felt like that I could continue some of my expertise in helping with hospice. And it's a satisfying system where it provides patients with, you know, the last stage of their life, and maybe some of the experience that I have in the past I could use toward helping them.
The reason I came involved with hospice was due to the fact that my husband was already involved and had been for a couple of years.
We'll be 10 years in May.
Well, I have a 10-year pin, but I think it took me about 13 years to get it. No, I do have my 10-year pin on, so.
I've been a volunteer with hospice for 7 years.
About 6 months.
4 years, both of us.
I've been volunteering with hospice for almost a year now.
I have been volunteering with Hospice of Huntington for 8 years.
I love giving back, so when volunteering is just like, that's my big thing. I love giving to other people. I like being there for other people. You know, it's especially at the hospice house, sometimes people don't have families, or even when we do in homes, you know, people don't have families, and I don't want to ever see anybody have to die alone.
Probably one of the most difficult things for me is to avoid getting too involved with families. And it's very easy to do because as a caregiver, you're there at least 4 hours once a week, and you get wrapped up in their stories, and it's hard to leave them and not take them home in your heart and your mind and worry about them.
Managing Cooper when there's food going by.
The most difficult part of volunteering for hospice is actually in August we had to bring my mom as a patient for hospice, and to transition from a volunteer to a family member. It wasn't hard, but it was just a difficult situation at that time.
There are times in the office that I do see the names of people I know. Some I knew were in the under a hospice care, and others I did not. And I feel that I am still helping very much with their care, even though it's indirect rather than direct patient care. And when I do that, I feel closer to them.
I'm over the pet therapy program. I have 2 dog Bichons, Oliver and Chad, and we visit into the hospice house and assisted living.
I started the snack basket up there, and I have about 50 volunteers who bring snacks. They're either individuals or church groups, ladies groups in the churches, and I saw the need was there when immediately the house opened.
What I do specifically to help at hospice is anything the Martha needs me to do. When the head of volunteer services calls and says that they need me to help out, whether it's with patient care or helping in the office, I'm willing to do that so that I can do my part.
So I am the Hospice Hug Ambassador. I also do Camp Good Grief. I work in the gift shop. I work in the office when necessary, just pretty much whatever they need me to do.
I am the prayer shawl ambassador for the hospice house. Well, actually for hospice altogether. Shortly after the hospice house was open, I became aware of the prayer shawl ministry, and a friend and I decided that we needed to start a prayer shawl ministry, and through our church here at Johnson Memorial United Methodist Church. And the emphasis on making them would be to go to the hospice patients at the hospice house.
I really enjoy it. Again, it's like I'm giving back something that was given to us as a family. I appreciate hospice so much, and I just wanted to help them.
Just to be there to listen to them. Sometimes they need a non-family member, and sometimes they need a volunteer rather than nursing staff, because they know nursing staff has many other patients, but as a volunteer, I have lots of time for them.
For me, it's rewarding to help hospice when I see a smile on someone's face, and I just feel better at the end of the day knowing that I've helped others.
Just seeing the effect on people of visiting a hospice room with a therapy dog. The response is almost universally very positive, very warm, enthusiastic.
Volunteering rewarding for me is making sure that a lot of the healthcare system is up running to par so that the patients themselves, don't see any loss as far as services.
Again, I feel like I'm paying back what was so freely given to me.
Volunteering is rewarding because our community needs help.
Feeling that not only am I helping someone else, but they are helping me. It's a win-win situation because of the love that I'm able to give to these patients and the love that I get back, and that is very rewarding.
I try to encourage others to volunteer for hospice as many times as I can because it is so rewarding, and it is giving something back and helping others.
Volunteering with hospice would be a rewarding aspect for any people that's wanting to volunteer.
I do encourage other people to volunteer for hospice. I think it's a great organization.
I always encourage everybody to volunteer at hospice, and I have succeeded. I've gotten a couple of people to join in. It is a constant need.
But the way it impacts my life really is just knowing that I can be there to help them through the most difficult time of their life, to be a listening ear or to offer them encouragement.
I think they've softened my heart. They've made me more generous and more patient.
The most I can say is they make you realize how important every day is, and to make sure that you tell your family how much you love them because you see other people in such hard situations.